S.Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtake Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirviseshasha Shunyavati Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's continue with our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 13, where Brahmaji is describing the spiritual world, the Vaikuntha Lokas. Brajishnu Birya Parito Virajate Lasad Vimana Vali Bir Mahatmanam Vidyotamana Pramadotamadhyubhihi Sedyud Abravallibhiryathanabaha. The Vaikuntha planets are also surrounded by various airplanes, all glowing and brilliantly situated. These airplanes belong to the great Mahatmas or devotees of the Lord. The ladies are as beautiful as lightning because of their celestial complexions, and all these combined together appear just like the sky, decorated with both clouds and lightning. It appears that in the Vaikuntha planets, there are also airplanes brilliantly glowing, and they are occupied by the great devotees of the Lord, with ladies of celestial beauty as brilliant as lightning. As they are airplanes, so there must be different types of carriages like airplanes. But they may not be driven machines, as we have experienced in this world, because everything is of the same nature of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. The airplanes and carriages are of the same quality as Brahman. So in the Vaikuntha Lokas also there is aeroplanes. As we have airplanes here, so in the Vaikuntha Lokas also the devotees have their airplanes. And over there the women, they look like as beautiful as lightning. It's so beautiful. But over there, over here, we see that our airplanes are made of iron and, whatever else is needed, all the machinery, all the gadgets, all is made of material elements. But over there, in the Vaikuntha Loka, the airplanes are also Satchidananda. And their carriages also, Prabhupada is saying, as we have carriages here, so there are carriages in the spiritual world too. Although there is nothing except Brahman, one should not mistakenly think that there is only void and no variegatedness. Thinking like that is due to a poor fund of knowledge. Otherwise, no one would have such a misconception of voidness in Brahman. So Brahman means everything is of the same quality of Satchidananda. It doesn't mean there is nothing, that there is only light. There is a lot of variety in the spiritual world. As there are airplanes, ladies and gentlemen, so there must be cities and houses and everything else just suitable to the particular planets. One should not carry the ideas of imperfection from this world to the transcendental world and not take into consideration the nature of the atmosphere as completely free from the influence of time, etc., as described previously. So the spiritual world is not that there is nothing there, there is only light. No, there is cities, there is, as Prabhupada is saying, ladies and gentlemen are there. So there must be cities and there'll be houses. Everything is suited for that particular planet. As we have everything suited for this earth planet, similarly, the spiritual world, everything is suited according to the spiritual planets. Is that okay? Yes?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So text 14. Shri Yatra Rupini Ugra Urugaya Padayoho Karoti Manam Bahudha Vibhuti Bihi Prenkham Shritaya Kusuma Karanuger Vigiyamana Priya Karma Gayati. The goddess of fortune, in her transcendental form, is engaged in the loving service of the Lord's lotus feet and being moved by the black bees, followers of spring. She is not only engaged in variegated pleasure, service to the Lord, along with her constant companions, but is also engaged in singing the glories of the Lord's activities. So the god Lakshmi Devi, here everyone is mad after Lakshmi Devi. We are all praying to Lakshmi Devi, give me wealth, give me opulence, be with me, don't leave me and go. But what does Lakshmi Devi do? She is serving Narayan. He's her husband, so she's always serving him. Loving service to the Lord's lotus feet. She's always lovingly serving him. So if we want to have the favor of Lakshmi Devi, we need to invite Narayan, Lord Vishnu, Krishna into our hearts, into our lives. Then only will Lakshmi Devi agree to stay there, because she's a chaste wife. So reading on, text 15. Dadarsha tatra khila sattvatam patim shriya patim yagya patim jagat patim sunanda nanda prabalar hanadibihi swaparshadagrehe parishevitam vibhum. Lord Brahma saw in the Vaikuntha planets the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the entire devotee community, the Lord of the goddess of fortune, the Lord of all sacrifices, and the Lord of the universe, who is served by the foremost servitors like Nanda, Sunanda, Prabala, and Arhana, his immediate associates. When we speak of a king, it is naturally understood that the king is accompanied by his confidential associates, like his secretary, private secretary, aide-de-camp, ministers, and advisors. So nowadays, maybe we don't have much experience of kings, but we can see if the head of the country, prime minister or president, He always has his aides surrounding him, so all his secretary and his assistants are all around him. So also when we see the Lord, we see him with his different energies, associates, confidential servitors, etc. So same way, the Lord is never alone. Krishna is never alone. Lord Narayan is never alone. He's always surrounded by his energies, by his devotees, by his servants. So the Supreme Lord, who is the leader of all living entities, the Lord of all devotee sects, the Lord of all opulences, the Lord of sacrifices, and the enjoyer of everything in his entire creation, is not only the Supreme Person, but also is always surrounded by his immediate associates, all engaged in their loving transcendental service to him. So the Lord is the leader of everyone. He's the one who's protecting all of us. So Prabhupada is saying here, he's the leader of all living entities. He's the leader of the devotees and the Lord of all opulences. All opulences belong to him. All wealth, fame, knowledge, beauty, strength, renunciation, everything belongs to him. And he's the Lord of sacrifices. All sacrifices are meant for the pleasure of Krishna, to realize him, to please him. And so he's the enjoyer of everything in the entire creation. So he's not alone. Although he has everything and he's the Lord of everything, he's never alone. He is always surrounded by his devotees, always surrounded by his energies, by his personal associates. If we see anytime a painting of Krishna that's alone, means it's made by a Mayavadi, by an impersonalist. A devotee, whenever they depict the painting of Krishna, they'll always paint him with his associates, be it even a cow or a peacock or even his flute. Krishna is never alone. He's always with his associates. The trees, the flowers, the everybody, the cows, the deer, the gopas, the gopis, he's always surrounded by them, never alone. Chapter 6,
there it was mentioned immediate associates. So yeah. Who are the immediate associates of Lord?
Now we heard Nanda, Sunanda.
Okay.
Nanda, Sunanda, Prabala, Arhana.
So they're the friends, the gopas.
This we are speaking about the Lord in Vaikuntha.
Oh, Vaikuntha. Okay.
So these are his associates in the Vaikuntha.
Vaikuntha. Okay.
Text 16. Bratya prasada bhimukham drag ashavam prasanna hasaruna lochananam kirtinam kundalinam chaturbhujam pitam sukham vakshasi lakshitam shriya. The personality of Godhead, seen leaning favorably towards his loving servitors, his very sight, intoxicating and attractive, appeared to be very much satisfied. He had a smiling face decorated with an enchanting reddish hue. He was dressed in yellow robes and wore earrings and a helmet on his head. He had 4 hands, and his chest was marked with the lines of the goddess of fortune. So Brahmaji he's being with the Lord. He can see the Lord. That's why he's describing to us. In the Padma Purana, Uttarakhanda, there is a full description of the Yoga Pitha, or the particular place where the Lord is in audience to his eternal devotees. In that Yoga Pitha, the personifications of religion, knowledge, opulence, and renunciation are all seated at the lotus feet of the Lord. So it seems there is a place called Yoga Pit where the devotees can see the Lord of the Vaikuntha planets, Lord Vishnu. And there he's surrounded by personification, means there is a person who represents religion, a person who's representing knowledge, person who's representing opulence and renunciation, and they're all seated at the lotus feet of the Lord. The four Vedas, namely Rik, Sam, Yajur, and Atharva, are present there personally to advise the Lord. So the personality of the Vedas are also there. The 16 energies headed by Chanda are all present there. Chanda and Kumoda are the first doorkeepers. At the middle door are the doorkeepers named Bhadra and Subhadra. And at the last door are Jaya and Vijay. There are other doorkeepers also named Kumoda, Kumudaksha, Pundarika, Vamana, Shankukarna, Sarvanetra, Sumukha, etc. The Lord's palace is well decorated and protected by the above mentioned doorkeepers. So it seems there are 3 doors, and the names of the doorkeepers are given. Well, Jaya and Vijaya are very famous doorkeepers because they were cursed by the four Kumaras. So that's the last door, the outermost door, and so then there are inner doors. Then there's 16 energies of the Lord, headed by Chanda, are all present there. Chanda and Kumuda are the first doorkeepers. So there's such a detailed description of the spiritual world over here.
What are the 16 energies?
I'm not sure. It's not mentioned here. Only Chanda is mentioned.
Yeah.
16 energies headed by Chanda are all present there. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, the Lord's main energies that we should understand are the internal, marginal, and external, because he has unlimited energies. And so for our understanding, they are divided into these 3: internal, external, and marginal. Internal is his spiritual energy, external is this material energy, and marginal energy are the living entities.
Okay.
Text 17. Adhyarhanishya Chanam astitam param vritam chatushodasha pancha shaktivihi yuktam bhagesver ittaratra chadruve sva eva dhamam ramanam ramam manam.
Ramamanam Ishwaram.
Thank you. The Lord was seated on his throne and was surrounded by different energies like the 4, the 16, the 5, and the 6 natural opulences, along with other insignificant energies of the temporary character. But he was the factual Supreme Lord, enjoying in his own abode. So Brahmaji is seeing the Lord, he's describing that the Lord was seated around with his different energies. The Lord is naturally endowed with 6 opulences. Specifically, he's the richest, he's the most powerful, he's the most famous, he's the most beautiful, he's the greatest in knowledge, and he's the greatest renouncer as well. So these are the 6 opulences, and anyone who has them in full should be called Bhagwan. That's the meaning given by Parasara Muni. And Krishna has these opulences in full. And that's why he is Bhagwan, the owner of all the opulences. And for his material creative energies, he is served by 4, namely the principles of Prakriti, Purusha, Mahatattva, and Ego. So the material creative energies are described as Prakriti, this material energy that we can see, Prakriti. Purusha. Purusha is the living entity. Mahatattva, where all the material elements, the sum total of the material elements, and the ego. He is also served by the 16, namely the 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, and sky. The 5 perceptive sense organs: the eye, ear, nose, tongue, and skin. The 5 working sense organs: the hand, the leg, the stomach, the evacuation outlet, and the genitals. and the mind. The five includes the sense objects, namely form, taste, smell, touch, sound, and touch. All these 25 items serve the Lord in the material creation, and all of them are personally present to serve the Lord. The insignificant opulences, numbering 8, the Ashtasiddhis, attained by yogis for temporary overlordship, are also under his control. But he is naturally full with all such powers without any effort, and therefore he is the Supreme Lord. So it seems that Brahmaji could see all this personification of all the senses, of all these elements, of the sense organs, the sense objects. He could see all this personification, these persons sitting next to Krishna, to Lord Narayan, sitting at the feet of the Lord Narayan. And also the Ashta Siddhis were there. The 8 Siddhis, which a yogi acquires after long, long meditation, they were also serving the Lord. The living being, by severe penance and performance of bodily exercises, can temporarily attain some wonderful power, but that does not make him the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord, by his own potency, is unlimitedly more powerful than any yogi. So sometimes we see that some of the people who acquire such powers, then they start calling themselves God, or others around them call themselves God. But this is because of lack of knowledge, lack of proper knowledge. Actually, these siddhis are just very, they appear wonderful to us because we don't have them. But Krishna, for him, these siddhis are nothing. They are just material, some material jugglery of the material elements. He's much, much more powerful than any yogi. He is unlimitedly more learned than any jnani. He is unlimitedly richer than any worldly person. He is unlimitedly more beautiful than any beautiful living being. And he is unlimitedly more charitable than any philanthropist. He is above all. No one is equal to or greater than him, nor can anyone reach his level of perfection in any of the above powers by any amount of penance or yogic demonstrations. So we get attracted by somebody who's very beautiful, but we should know that Krishna is unlimitedly more beautiful than this person who's beautiful. Krishna says that all things of beauty that you see are a spark of my splendor. The intelligence of the intelligent, the strength of the strong. So everything is coming from Krishna. So somebody who's strong, we should know that it is representing Krishna. Krishna is more stronger. So charitable, he's more charitable. There are so many philanthropists. We say, oh, this person is doing so much charity, but Krishna is the greatest. He gives himself to his devotees. He's given us this whole material world to enjoy. So we can't compete with him. No matter how much we have, he still has everything unlimitedly. Unlimitedly. The yogis are dependent on his mercy. Out of his immensely charitable disposition, he can award some temporary powers to the yogis because of the yogis' hankering after them. But to his unalloyed devotees, who do not want anything from the Lord, save and accept his transcendental service, the Lord is so pleased that he gives himself in exchange for unalloyed service. So Krishna always fulfills everyone's desires. What desires do we have? Then the yogis' desire is that they want to get these siddhis, these mystic powers. So he gives it to them. It's how do these yogis get the mystic powers? It's because Krishna gives, not by the process of meditation, but because Krishna gives it to them because they are meditating, because they have the desire. But the devotees, what do they want from the Lord? They want only to serve the Lord. They want to be connected with Him in their eternal relationship. So what does the Lord give them? He gives them Himself. Himself. We can see how He's having such loving pastimes with His devotees. We have been reading in the Krishna book how He's playing with the cowherd boys. So He's giving Himself to His devotees. So, any questions or comments?
So all this is in Vaikuntha planets.
Yes.
He's just, Brahmaji is describing only the Vaikuntha planets.
Yes, right now he's seeing Lord Vishnu.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's describing that. Previously, he did describe Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami, that he was seeing Lord Govinda. He saw Goloka Vrindavan, the topmost planet. A few verses, a few days ago, we said that. And then now he's seeing the Lord of the Vaikuntha planets, Lord Narayan, and how he's surrounded by his different opulences.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So maybe we can stop here because this is a longer verse. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you for joining in and have a great day. Hare Krishna.